Hello ladies and gents, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be looking at something a little bit different. We're not going to be doing a repair video, this is going to be a comparison. A question that I get asked on a regular basis is what type of low melt solder do I recommend? And the truth of the matter is I've never used it. I've never used low melt solder because I believe that low melt solder takes the fun out of repair and it also takes away some of the skill and some of the practical learning that you develop along the way. So I've never used low melt solder to repair any board, and this is literally the first time I've purchased it. So what I'm going to do today, I've got several different brands of low melt solder which I've purchased out of my own money. This is not a paid review. I've purchased this out of my own money, and I'm going to be doing a side-by-side comparison on each of the brands and then try and determine which one is best. And that's going to be from technically a noob's perspective, because basically I've never used it, so it's going to be pretty much a first for me as well. So with that being said, we're going to get into the video. But if you want to support me in what I do and you enjoy these type of videos, then number one, please get subscribed and turn on bell notifications. I provide repair content, so I'll provide mainly repair content on games consoles, but I also work on other stuff too. So if you do like that type of content, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. That way you don't miss any future videos. And like I said, if you want to support me, then you can do so by heading over to Twitch. Link your Amazon Prime account to Twitch and then become a Twitch Prime subscriber, which is free for you to do, but it does massively help out the channel. So with that being said, let's get into this video. So in front of me, I've got several different things. The first thing you'll notice is a pile of motherboards. These are all exactly the same motherboard, or rather different models, but they come from the same family. They're all PlayStation 4 Pro motherboards, so that's a PlayStation 4 Pro games console. All of these I purchased last week as donor boards because I use several chips off them. So I use, for example, the Safe Bridge, the Wi-Fi IC, and also the HDMI encoder. So I brought all of these from a contact of mine, paid £15 for each of them. They're going to be used as donor boards. But the other thing I've got is basically a bunch of different low melt solders. The first one that I've got is probably the most well known, and this is ChipQuik SMD 4.5NL. And like I said, I'm a noob, which is exactly why I ended up purchasing two. I purchased SMD 1NL as well, and after doing a little bit of research online, these are the same thing. It's just that this is different size, and basically they're exactly the same alloy. So ChipQuik SMD 4.5 or ChipQuik SMD 1, basically they're both the same, so I'm only going to be using one for the comparison. I'll use this one here. The next one I've got is going to be Fast Chip, SRA Fast Chip 4.5 foot. Pretty much the same as the ChipQuik, exactly the same size, exactly the same quantity, except it's 2/3 of the price of the ChipQuik. The next one I've got is a Amazon special, so when I typed in low melt solder, I come up with this. I think this one was £31, this one was about £21. This one I believe was £4.75, and then we've got an eBay special, which is supposed to be low melt solder as well, and this one was precisely £6.99. So we've got several different brands here, and I'm going to try and determine, based on my own opinion, which one is the best. You may notice that the tops have come off these, and that's because my son likes to grab everything that I own and throw it around. So he's actually opened, I think it's the Fast Chip, and he's broken one of them, so there's a little random piece in there, but I haven't used them myself yet. So the reason I've gone with 4 PlayStation 4 Pro boards is because, like I said, I purchased these at exactly the same time. I brought them at the same time, they took the same journey home. I know this is kind of irrelevant, but they took the same journey home, they went into the same box, and they've sat in the same place since Friday last week. It's now Tuesday. So they've sat in the same place for exactly the same amount of time. That should be exactly the same temperature, so that shouldn't affect the results in any way, shape or form. So like I said, I'm going to be trying all of the different ones, and honestly, I'm kind of hoping this one wins. Now, this one is a little bit weird, it's a little bit funky, because it's just a big block of low melt solder. It's 20 grams, but apparently it's 70-degree low melt. So we'll see. You know, we'll see how it performs. So what I'm going to do with these donor boards is I'm going to remove probably the most common item that people are going to be using this for. I'm going to be using it on a HDMI port. And all of these donor boards, they've been declared as unfixable, but all of these donor boards have no prior repair attempts on the HDMI circuit, or at least as far as I can tell. As far as I can tell, they are all factory standard, and we shouldn't have any skewed results because of that. So we're going to start with this one. Why not? No particular reason. I'm going to pop the rest of them to one side. And I will start with probably the most common low melt solder, ChipQuik SMD 4.5 or SMD 1. This is the one that most people recommend. So I'm removing this for the first time. I'm not opened this one yet. Well, I haven't opened any of them. My son did. But let's go based on price. So we'll start with this one. This is the highest price one. And this comes in, I think it's 4.5 foot in total, and it comes in some convenient sticks, so it's nice and easy to manage, which is cool. That's pretty good. People do recommend this one, and they say that it's the best of the best, so we'll see. So let's pop under the microscope and give this one a try. Just for the record, I'm going to be using the exact same flux on all of these. I'm going to be using my go-to flux, which is Kingbo RMA 218, and this is cheap and cheerful, really does do the job well, and I highly recommend it to anyone. You can get it off AliExpress, fairly cheap. So I do recommend it. There is a link in the video description, but it's not to AliExpress, it's an affiliate link. Okay, so this, I'm not sure if this one's actually had any work done on it. I might have to go for a different port. I thought it didn't have any work done on it, but now I can see flux around here, so I'm not so sure. I'm thinking, just to guarantee, I'm thinking of going with a different port. Actually, I can get another board, never mind. The boards are going to be around about the same temperature. That's definitely factory. Let's go for that one. Let's go for that one instead, shall we? So we can see here that we've definitely got a factory port here. This has definitely been installed at the factory and not messed with. We've got the original flux there, and the pins are gold, which means they haven't been soldered. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some flux, and then I'm going to melt this solder onto the pins. So the way this is supposed to work is it's supposed to mix with the original solder and change the mixture of alloys that's on the board, and that's supposed to lower the melting temperature and allow us to desolder things really quickly. So as you can see, that stays molten for a little bit longer than normal solder would, and it don't seem to stick to the iron either. So I'm going to run the iron all the way across. So you can see that there, how the solder's melting before I even get to it. That's pretty cool. Okay, we've got one pin here which we've missed. Let's make sure we get that. Okay, so we've got a nice even layer all the way across there. And then we're going to do the same on the back as well. So I'm going to just do that with the ground legs as well. Alright, I think we've got a nice mixture there on all of those legs. There we go. That should be good there. Let's remove it. So I'm going to set my temperature at 440 degrees Celsius. I usually go for 480 on a HDMI port. So we'll set it at 440 and we'll try and remove it. Let's see how this behaves. Okay, it's starting to melt pretty quickly there. Okay, the microscope might be skewing the results. I'm going to do it without the microscope. I'm going to let that fully cool down though. So let's do it without the microscope. Alright, so now I can actually get a decent angle on it. Okay, and the port's removed. I think that took around about 20 seconds. So a lot quicker than a normal HDMI port, granted. You know, 20 seconds at 440 degrees Celsius is pretty acceptable, but We'll see. Did we do any damage to the traces? It doesn't look like we did. We didn't. Okay, so about 20 seconds. That's not too bad. So number 2, again, is going to be a factory port. So you can see here that the pins are gold. So they haven't been touched. So for number 2, we're going to use SRA fast chip. So again, I'll add some flux here. Okay, seems to stay molten for the same amount of time. This one holds on the iron a lot better though. Didn't really have to do anything for that. I can already feel those pins coming loose. Nice even amount all the way across. And there we go. Add some more flux. Still got a little bit of low melt on here. So what I'm finding so far is that the SRA does seem to go a little bit further in that you get some that stays on the iron. So maybe this will last longer. Like that, you see. You wouldn't do that with the ChipQuik stuff. Yeah. Definitely does. You seem to have a little bit more control over the solder than with the ChipQuik. Just make sure we get enough through the hole. There we go. Perfect. Let's try this port, shall we? So I've got the temperature set at 440 still. And I'm just going to hover over. And it's free. There we go. Okay. That one took a little bit longer. Probably around about 30 seconds. I'll have to put timings on the screen. That one took longer. So the two expensive ones seem to perform close together, so around about the same. The fast chip seems to come off in around about 30 seconds, so around about 50% longer. So yeah, I mean, considering the price difference, you know, what's an extra 10 seconds really? You know, it's certainly worth saving a bit of money, I think. There's the two expensive ones. Let's move on to the cheap ones. So the next one on the price range is going to be the eBay Special. This cost me £6.99 and it was just a random one which I found on eBay. And apparently it's low melt wire. Don't worry about the address, it's a business address. So this just comes on a piece of cardboard. Convenient. Oh, it does snap, okay. So yeah, this is, I'm probably going to find this is ChipQuik or fast chip, to be honest. Could you make a profit if you sold them in individual sticks? Maybe. Maybe. Depends what you pay for them, I suppose. Alright. I'll pop that bit to one side. We'll use this bit just here first. So let's move that board out of the way. Let's bring in this disgusting one. Okay, let's give this one a whirl, shall we? So this is the £6.99 one. And I've got this little bit that snapped off. And okay, that is definitely low melt. That one seems to stay molten for longer. Is that just me? Doesn't seem to like transferring as much though. It is definitely staying molten for longer though. I mean, that's still molten there. Still molten. So that's staying molten just by the heat that's transferring through the board, I would assume. Alright, we've got a nice even coat on there. And that is still molten. So as long as there's a little bit of heat in the board, that'll stay molten. That's handy to know. Okay, let's do the back legs on this. Still got a little bit on the iron here. Just check that out. That's pretty cool. How that stays molten. Okay, I think we've got a nice even mixture there. So let's give that another whirl. In case you're wondering, I'm using this as a counterweight just to keep the board from wobbling. And let's try this one. Okay, that's about to come off. Yep, there we go. That was around about the same time as Fast Chip, to be honest. So I think that cheap eBay one, well, it's not really cheap, it's one stick. I think the eBay one is more likely than not going to be Fast Chip, to be honest. It did seem to behave quite similar to Fast Chip. Alright, it's time for the last test. GuageMaster. Apparently this is 70 degrees Celsius, melting temperature, and it's £5 for 20 grams. So it just comes in kind of like an ingot, and apparently this stuff is reusable. But it's a 20 gram ingot for, you know, £5 for £4.75, something like that. So I think I'm going to need to probably slice some of this off. Maybe not. It's fairly tough. I think I risk injuring myself if I do try it. I'm not going to do that. Alright, let's pop under the scope on this one. Maybe not. This is another one which appears as though it's been worked on. Let's have a look anyway. Okay, so yeah, this is one that appears as though it might have been worked on in the past, so I'm not going to use this one, I don't think. Okay, and I don't actually have another board, so I'm going to have to do it with this one, but never mind, it is what it is, I suppose. Okay, let's give this a whirl. So I've got the ingot here. This is going to be fairly awkward, I must admit. Oh wow, that does melt quick though. Okay, I've got some. There you go. And kind of about 5 seconds, I would say. 4 to 5 seconds. It bonds fairly well to the port, or to the pins. Not the worst solder I've ever used. I think you're definitely going to use more of this stuff. Well, Most people would. I'm going to try and get the rest off here. Waste not, want not. Maybe not. Let's just use some more. Wow, that was a lot. It all just seems to have followed the heat at the same time. Okay, I managed to pull some of that back. Nice even amount on there. And that's staying molten. Time for the back pins. Should still have some on the iron here. Yeah, that bonds really, really well actually. Immediately started transferring onto the ground legs. There we go. I think that is definitely a nice even amount. So let's see how the cheapest of them all performs compared to the rest. This is the one that I actually want to win, I'm going to be honest. The simple reason being it's cheap and I'm a cheapskate. So again, the same, 440 degrees Celsius. Oh, it's coming. And there we go, it's off. That's hard to judge. That's hard to judge, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to have to go back onto the video and figure it out on how long it took. Well, I will be damned. The results are in. And it's interesting. Well, the first thing that I've learned here is that my concept of time it means nothing. They took longer than I thought. So let's talk numbers. In first place was number one. Number one took 37 seconds, and number one is ChipQuik. So yes, it is the most expensive. It took 37 seconds to remove at 440 degrees Celsius. And yeah, it was a winner, but not by a massive margin. So in second place was actually number 3, which was the cheap eBay special, and that took 44 seconds. And in joint third place, we have these two. Both took 54 seconds each. Let's think about this here. So first place was this one, yes. It is probably the quickest, but it's also the most expensive. It comes in at around about £31. And yeah, that's just for 4.5 foot of it, but that doesn't equate to 20 grams. It's not 20 grams. Same as this one, around about £21. That's still nowhere near value for money compared to this one. These cost £5 or under £5, and it does exactly the same job as this. And this is the one I wanted to win because I've been meaning to use this for a long time. So you know what? I'm going to say something that a lot of people are never going to expect me to say here. I'm going to keep some of this on hand at all times, just in case. Not this, not this, not this. This. That stuff right there. That definitely shocked me, but GuageMaster is, in my book, the winner. The fact that it only took a short time longer than ChipQuik, the most expensive one, and the fact that it was on par with SRA Fast Chip, it speaks volumes when it comes to price to performance. And this one I think is probably the best value for money. If you're, just doing this as a hobby, or if you're doing it part-time, then, you don't want to be spending £30 on a tube of ChipQuik or £21 on a tube of, oops, I kind of dropped it. You don't want to be spending £21 on a tube of this fast chip stuff. You know, you want to keep costs as low as possible, and if this is going to do exactly the same job as this, and a close enough job to this, why spend £30 when you're going to get just as much value, if not more, out of this one? It's beyond me why people spend that kind of money. Honestly, it really is. But I am going to say that my recommendation is going to be GuageMaster. It's cheap, you get a lot more for your money, and it does the same job. I think it's a clear-cut winner. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it's given you a little bit of insight into low melt solder. To be honest, I'm just going to use these here and there. This will probably last me a fairly long time, so I'm just going to be throwing these all in one tube, to be honest, and just keeping them all to hand. But yeah, I mean, is it really worth spending that kind of money on the expensive stuff? I think all you're paying for is a brand. It's the same as beans at your local supermarket. They're all made in the same factory, and it's the same as, I can tell you this for free. My brother-in-law used to work in a coffee factory, and half of the coffees, the ones that come for the Tassamon and things like that, are all made in the same factory. You're paying for the name, and this proves it. You're paying for the name. This stuff definitely is worth the money, and yeah, I highly recommend buying that stuff instead of the expensive stuff. So that's going to be from me. Thank you very much for watching. If you do have any comments or questions, leave them down in the comment section down below. I'll always do my best to answer. If you enjoy this type of content, then be sure to hit subscribe and turn on the bell notifications, and that way you don't miss any future videos. And if you want to help me pay for this expensive video, this video cost me around about £80 in total. So if you want to help me pay for this, you can support me over on Twitch by becoming a Twitch subscriber. You can become a channel sponsor using the join button below the video, or you can donate directly by heading over to Patreon. You can use Patreon, or you can donate directly through PayPal or through the Square checkout link in the video description. But that's going to be it for now. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, see you later. Bye for now.